Hey everyone, Brian with GreyWolf Towers again. Just thought I'd give another video here on the build that we're doing. Now this particular build is going to involve a Ryzen 3. So we're of course going to pair it with a motherboard that runs Ryzen. The Ryzen CPU that we're going to be using is a 2nd gen 2200G. So that's not a huge deal. This particular motherboard This is the ASRock B450M HDV. So now, there's not much that's special about it. However, we ordered this through Amazon and it was about $60 plus tax, which is actually pretty good for a B450. However, that lower price does come at a cost on the usability of the board itself. For example, this is an MATX board, so it only has one X1 PCI Express slot, one X16 Express slot, so you cannot do any kind of Crossfire or SLI, as well as it only comes with 2 DIMM slots for RAM. But today that's going to be plenty. We're going to run 16 gigs in this. With our build, we're going to do 2 8-gig sticks, so it's perfectly fine. In the future, to upgrade, you just buy 2 16-gig sticks and it'll work fine. It does have the 24-pin adapter for power for the board, the CPU socket, of course, and then the cooler socket, the cooler adapters. Now, the cooler adapters are attached by screws to the back plate, and regardless of which cooler you go with, you're going to need that back plate, so make sure that you don't get rid of it. If you're using one of the coolers that uses the clip-on attachments, then you'll leave it the way it is and just add those on and it'll attach into this, and that uses the AM4 adapters. Now, if you are using the stock cooler, which is the Wraith Stealth, that does not use the clip-on, it uses a screw-in. So what you would do is you would just set it down and you would undo the 4 little screws here, and then you take off these 2 little adapter pieces, put them aside, leaving the back plate in place. You put the CPU in, you put the cooler over top, you screw it into place, and we will do a video on this soon just to show you if you don't already know. One of the other nice things about this particular board though is that although it is limited on features, it does have an M.2 slot, so we can upgrade to an NVMe or M.2 SATA drive later on in the future. It comes with 4 SATA ports, which is plenty for today's technology. We don't really need to have 6 hard drives and 3 DVD burners and things like that. And I know that back in the day I used to run 2 DVD burners and I'd have anywhere up to 4 to 6 hard drives in my system because of how small the capacity of the hard drives was and because of wanting to use DVDs and needing to transfer data back and forth. But nowadays almost everything's digital and you can get 16 terabyte or bigger drives nowadays. I think next year they're planning to release a 20 terabyte drive, which is massive. I mean, our home server only runs I think 8, so it's a huge amount of storage. It does have the CPU power connection, which on this board, oddly enough, even in today's technology, it's typically a 8-pin, a 4+4. This board only uses a single 4-pin for the CPU, so I highly doubt that you'd want to do any kind of serious overclocking of anything bigger than a Ryzen 3. A Ryzen 5 and Ryzen 7 and even a Ryzen 9 should still run, but I wouldn't try overclocking them because of the power draw that may require. It does also come with the rear header here for the fans, and then you've got, of course, over here you've got the CPU header, which is up here by the RAM. Kind of odd that it'd be way up there instead of closer to the CPU socket, but it happens. It does also have USB 3 for front panels as well as USB 2 for front panels. It also has your front panel connections here, and then it's got a COM port, which honestly very few people anymore use. It's got the HD audio back here in the back, and then if we rotate the board around, it does still have a legacy PS2 port for keyboard or mouse, and it functions for either, whereas way back in the day you'd have one for mouse, one for keyboard, and they didn't alternate back and forth where you could use one and the other. It had to be one or the other. This one can do both. Then it has two USB 2 ports. It has a DVI connection, a VGA connection, and an HDMI for your options of what you want for the output to video. If you're using the built-in video, which we may or may not. It is a 2200G, so we have that option. But as anyone can tell you, a 2200G doesn't have to run the integrated video. You can add a discrete GPU into this and it will increase the performance of the video quality, because the dedicated video cards are always a higher quality than any APU. It does have 4 USB 3 ports. I believe they are just Gen 1 3.0s. It does have an Ethernet, which if I remember correctly is the gigabit, and then it's got your audio jacks for the sound for speakers and things like that. Now, one thing I was really disappointed in was the box that it came in. Amazon decided to not package it like they used to do. I guess they're trying to save money, and so they slapped a label on the box and just shipped it out that way. No seals, no wrap, nothing. Just there's the box to the motherboard, here's a label, ship it out. I'm kind of disappointed in that because it leads to damages. I know that others have said that they've received damaged boards. This one I haven't tested, but it did not appear to have any damage to the box, let alone to the motherboard, so we will have to see how that works. But overall, it should do everything that we need, and it also on the box says that it's already Ryzen 3000 series capable. It's already been updated, so it's good to go, and the B450 chipset gives us a little bit extra stuff. This one was about $60 plus tax, whereas they did have an A320 board for about $55, which, you know, whereas $5 may break the bank, but honestly, in a motherboard, spend the extra $5, get the B450 chipset with the extra features and capabilities. Even if you're not going to use them now, you may later, and it will save you from having to upgrade the motherboard, which is a lot harder to upgrade than, say, the CPU. So I would definitely spend the extra $5 to get the B450 rather than the cheap A320, but $60 isn't too bad for a motherboard these days. Anyway, that's it for now. If I missed anything and you have any questions about anything, make sure you let us know. It does only seem to have 3 headers for fans, one for the CPU and 2 chassis fan connections. So if you plan on running more than 2 fans and the CPU cooler, you may want to buy either a different board, which will cost you more, or on eBay and Amazon and even Newegg, you can go and you can buy the little fan splitters. I will tell you right now though, Newegg is by far the most expensive that you will find of those, of the 3. Amazon is still pricier than eBay, but I do kind of like the extra features of the customer service with Amazon. They typically take better care of me than eBay does, but eBay will have the cheapest price on those, and you'll pay usually less than $1, $1.50, and that includes the shipping. They'll come from China, so it'll take a couple weeks, but they're just as good as anywhere else because everything's made in China these days. So anyway, if you have any questions, feel free to let me know. As always, hit the like button if you enjoyed the content, subscribe to the channel if you want to keep up to date on our videos, and as I always say, leave us a comment down below with any questions about the product, myself, the channel, and we will get back to you with a response as soon as we're able to. So thanks for watching, everyone. Have a great day. Bye for now.